What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Omega Ruby and today's challenge is kind of unique. Today's challenge will be, can I be Pokemon Omega Ruby Hardcore Nuzlocke, but all my Pokemon are constantly poisoned. So it's going to be pretty unique. So let's run down the rules real quick. So it's partly a Hardcore Nuzlocke, but partly a whole different challenge. So we can only catch one Pokemon per route. There's no restriction on what Pokemon we can catch, so we can catch any Pokemon, one Pokemon per route though. They must be shiny though. As well, they only have one life, so if they ever faint, they're dead and we have to box them. We cannot use them ever again. Included with that, there's gonna be a level cap where this can be a highest level per gym fight, so we can't go over that before entering the gym fight. And as well, there's no items inside a battle, but we'll get to that in a second. But you also have to play on set mode to avoid switching out when you beat a Pokemon. Now getting to the whole toxic situation, so each of my Pokemon will be constantly poisoned. Now obviously I'm not the greatest coder. I'm not going to break down the ROM and then make all my Pokemon poison. I decided to make a knockoff version of that and have each of my Pokemon hold a toxic orb constantly. Now they won't always be toxic, so I'm allowing myself to like heal up at the Pokemon Center whenever I want. I just have to enter gym fights and delete 4, and my Pokemon have to be poisoned by then. In the regular fights, they'll be holding the toxic orb anyway, so they'll be poisoned eventually. It's just kind of annoying when I have to go and heal up my Pokemon's PP and then I'm not toxic anymore, and then it's more like go back and forth and wasting some time. And as well, this actually makes it even harder because it takes away the hell items perspective. I actually can't use hell items at all because they're always holding on to a toxic orb. So it's going to be a pretty unique challenge. I hope you guys all will enjoy this video. One additional rule for my challenge video, of course, each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thank you so much for leaving a comment in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after future Pokemon, just drop in the comments. And hope while you guys are down there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin off, I actually didn't want to use Mudkip. Surprisingly, Mudkip is the easiest starter to use in ORAS or just Hoenn in general. I was thinking about using Trico, but I was like, you know what, I haven't used Torchic in a while, so I'm just going to soft reset for Torchic. Torchic is going to be our first Pokemon in the game, and eventually we find ourselves a shiny Torchic, so we're going to have that pretty nicely. So this is how it's going to work. I have to attach the toxic orb onto my Pokemon constantly. This is the only hell items they can have. They're just going to be poisoned eventually. I don't know if it's badly poisoned or just straight up just poison, but yeah, that is how it's going to work. We almost lose our first fight against a rival. I know a lot of people don't count this fight until you actually get Pokeballs, but I still count it and we almost lose. That could have been bad. 2 HP as we barely beat a rival, and then we're going to move on. We're going to move on to Route 102 after we head into Petalburg City, which we had to backtrack, and we're going to shiny hunt out here. There's a lot of great Pokemon. Unfortunately, I'm playing on Omega Ruby, so I can't actually get Lotad. So ironically, we get the counterpart of it, and we got ourselves a shiny Seedot on our team. Now Seedot isn't the worst thing, it's just way better if we got Lotad or Ralts. We're just gonna catch ourselves a Seedot, add it to our team real quick, and then head into the woods. Now in Petalburg Woods, there's a lot of different Pokemon we can get in here. Now I actually I obviously thought through that if I got a steel type or a poison type Pokemon, that I'm not gonna really catch them and just run away from them, and that will count as my encounter too, so I have to leave the area anyways. Lucky enough, we go into Petalburg Woods and there was a threat that we get Cascoon and would have been just screwed, but lucky enough we get ourselves a shiny Shroomish from here, and Shroomish actually has a 50% chance of getting a Poison Heal as an ability. So unfortunately we get the wrong 50%. We get ourselves Effect Spore as our ability, which is unfortunate. Poison Heal would have been so great to have, but unfortunately we got Effect Spore and we have to just deal with it. From there, we're gonna face off against Roxanne, the first gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against Roxanne using my Shroomish. Now of course, just to remind you guys, I have to have my Pokemon poison during gym fights and during Delete 4. Now I went for a Mega Drain against the Geodude. Lucky enough, I'm able to heal up a bunch of HP against him, and then from there she can switch out into her Nose Pass, and then I'm able to Leech Seed it. I take a lot of damage with Rock Tomb, so I'm kind of scared here, so I switch out to my Nuzleaf. Nuzleaf's able to just knock him out with one Razor Leaf super easily. We're able to knock out Roxanne and finish the first gym fight in the game. So we're able to get our first gym badge, and now we're going to move on into Granite Cave. Now in Granite Cave on Dewfoot Island, there's a few Pokemon I want from here. We can't actually get Zubat, so just gotta hopefully avoid that. But we want Makuhita, we want an Abra. No, we don't want a Geodude. We just want Abra or Makuhita. Lucky enough, we get one of the two. We get ourselves a Makuhita, which is the more common Pokemon. So we're gonna catch ourselves a Makuhita, add it to our team real quick. And then from there, we're able to actually evolve our Torchic into a Combuskin since the level cap jumped up. And then from there, we're able to face off against Brawly. Brawly's gonna be the second gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against him using my Makuhita. Now Makuhita has fake out, you know, not the greatest play, but I'm able to eventually knock him down with Force Palm, which I paralyze him with and knock him out in 2 shots. So from there, he's gonna switch out into his Makuhita, his own Makuhita. I'm gonna switch out into my Combustion. Now unfortunately, the Makuhita hits me with a sand attack, so I actually end up missing my double kick, and I'm like, well, if this thing hits me, I'm probably gonna kill me. So I switch out to my Nuzlocke, which is also a bad play because it's partly dark type, so the fighting moves would really hurt. But lucky enough for us, I get 2 Razor Leaves off and hit them both as he only goes for a sand attack. Again, lucky enough, Brawly is an idiot, so we're able to beat down Brawly, get ourselves the second gym badge in the game, and now we can move on. We decided to fish right outside of Doofut Island, or on Doofut Island. We decided to just fish right outside the gym. We're able to get ourselves a Magikarp out here. We could get ourselves a Tentacool, which that means we had to run away and then restart shiny hunting, so that could have been really bad. But lucky enough, Magikarp is more common, so we're able to get ourselves a Magikarp, catch it on our team, and then evolve it into a Gyarados like immediately since the level cap is already here. We're gonna get ourselves a Gyarados. And a lot of people actually don't like red Gyarados because you get it for free in like Johto, and I'm like, it still looks cool. There's a reason why they give it out for free, because it looks so cool. Anyways, from there we're gonna face off against May and beat May with our newly acquired Gyarados. Then we can head into Marvel City. Always head into the Pokemon in Marvel City to get ourselves the Power Up Punch TM and also Bodo's TM. You just breeze through the game at that point. Now from there, you can move out and face off against Watson next. Watson's gonna be the 3rd gym leader in the game, and we're gonna start the battle off against him using obviously my Combustion. Now Combustion actually has double kick, so it could bypass Sturdy on Magnemite, so we're able to just do that and knock him out in 1 cycle. From there, you can switch out to his Voltorb, which I'm like, just gonna go for double kick anyways. He actually both switched into his Ace Magneton, and that means he's super effective to that. I crit him as well, so I knock out his Magneton, and the battle's basically over. So I'm gonna go for a Flame Charge as he hits me with a Volt Switch, but I can outspeed him on the following turn, and we end up beating Watson. Oh, he heals up, but lucky enough, I'm in Blaze range. Knock him out regardless, as we're able to beat down Watson. Get ourselves the 3rd gym badge in the game, and now level cap jumps up a little bit. We could evolve a bunch of Pokemon. We're gonna evolve our Makuhita into our Hariyama, and also our Shroomish into a Breloom, which kind of still sucks. We don't have Poison Heal. But from there, we're gonna face off against Maxie, which almost, you know, could have got pretty bad for us. But we go out to our Combustion, and somehow Combustion ends up beating up the camera up. So we'll take that. So we're able to beat down Maxie and face off against Flannery next. Flannery is gonna be the 5-type gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against her using my Gyarados. Now Gyarados, pretty easy to tell, it's a pretty good Pokemon. So we're gonna go for Bodos against the Slugma as we're able to one-shot him. And then her next Pokemon will be a Torkoal. I go for Bodos. It looks like 3 shots, but unfortunately, the 3-shot range means it goes into red HP. It goes for overheat, does a lot of damage for a fire move, and then heals up. And I'm like, oh, this is wasting so much time. I could have just Dragon Rage twice, looks like. So that's kind of bad on me. But I go out into my Hariyama. I'm going to get a Power Up Punch into 2 Bodos, looks like. I end up beating down the Torkoal. Lucky enough, it didn't go for a bunch of overheats, or I could have lost. If it actually went for Body Slam, it would have killed me. Because with the toxic damage, would have been pretty bad. But from there, I'm able to Bodos into the Numo and end up knocking out Flannery, getting ourselves the 4th gym badge in the game. And there's not much for us to do. We get teleported all the way to Petalburg City anyways, so we're just gonna go into the next gym. So the next gym fight we're gonna face off against is gonna be Norman. Norman's the 5th gym leader in the game. We're gonna start the battle off against his normal types, his Slacking with my Combustion. Now, you know, at least it doesn't yawn me. It goes Retaliate, so it does a lot of damage to start. I go for a Power Punch, and possibly Double Kick could have killed. He's gonna go into True mode anyways, but I'm gonna switch out. Maybe not the greatest play, but I go out to my Breloom. Now Breloom has Force Palm, and I don't know why he has better fighting moves than my Combustion, but Force Palm ends up paralyzing down the Slacking. It goes for Encore as I'm able to knock him out in 2 more Force Palms. His next Pokemon will be a Vigoroth, which I could switch out, but I know I'm outspeeding it, so I'm able to one-shot the Vigoroth, which kind of surprising. I one-shot it, but I end up one-shotting it. Now Norman's final Pokemon will be a Slacking, which is going to retaliate me, I'm pretty sure. So I go out to my Gyarados, and it lowers his attack stat. Intimidate works out pretty well, but he goes for Chip Away, so it didn't matter anyways. I go out to Hariyama after this, and Hariyama's going to take care of the Slacking in 2 shots pretty easily, as we're able to beat down Norman, get ourselves the 5th gym badge in the game. Now we're going to move out. After we catch ourselves a Latios, which isn't too useful at all, we can go out to Route 111, 112, something like that. And we're going to start shiny hunting for our next Pokemon out in here. Now, we want a Manectric or Electrite. I thought you could get Manectrics in here. You know, would help us for the next gym fight, but unfortunately, we get ourselves a Pelipper. And one thing about Pelipper, it always stalls. It starts using Protect and stuff. When I try to weaken it, it doesn't want to catch into Pokeballs. It's an annoying Pokemon. It's a very annoying Pokemon, but it's pretty good. So we're going to catch it, add to our team, and then we're going to head into the Weather Fortress and also beat down the camera up using our Surfing Gyarados. What a stupid moveset. We're also able to evolve our Nuzlocke into a Shift Tree, getting the Leaf Stone from this area. And then from there, we can move on to the next gym. We can face off against Winona next. Winona is going to be the Flying type gym leader in the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Gyarados, because Gyarados is pretty good. Gyarados also has Ice Fang, so we're able to go for an Ice Fang immediately. We don't hit it the first time without the double team, which is like a 5% chance. When the Swallow actually goes for a double team, I actually landed it. So I don't know, make it make sense. We're able to beat down the Swallow, and then from there, she can switch out to her Pelipper. And I'm like, I go to my Shift Tree, and Shift Tree actually ends up knocking out the Pelipper for us and tanking Air Lace pretty well. It does stall us down a little bit, but 2 Leaf Blades would knock out the Pelipper regardless. And then her next Pokemon will be a Skarmory, which I go out to my own Pelipper. I go for a Surf. 2 Surfs will end up knocking out the Skarmory and wasting her healing items. From there, she can switch out into our Altaria, which I'm like, I think Gyarados can handle this. I go out to my Gyarados, 4 times weak Ice Fang to it, and it looks like it 2-shots it. Got scary, but lucky enough, I crit it at the end, end up knocking out the Altaria, and we're ready to beat down Winona and get ourselves the 6th gym badge in the game. Now from there, I decided to deposit down our Shift Tree because I think that thing is pretty weak and it's not too useful on a team. I'm thinking about our next solution. So firstly, I'm going to beat a rival for the final time, and then we're going to head into the Safari Zone. Now the Safari Zone has a bunch of great Pokemon. I wouldn't mind anything in here. A Pikachu or a Gloom could have been really nice. And surprisingly, we actually encounter ourselves a shiny Gloom. Now you might be wondering, Gloom is part Poison type. It actually branches off to 2 different evolutions. One is going to be Grass and Poison. The other one is going to be straight up Grass. So we're going to go for the Grass option, which is going to be Bellossom. But we have to get to that point. We catch ourselves a shiny Gloom, and then we're going to hold on to it for a little bit as we're going to face off against the team Magma Grunts in here. Clear them through pretty easily. Nothing to worry about. And then head into Moss Deep City, where it took us longer to find the Sunstone because I don't remember getting the Sunstone in a long time. Look at me just running around. Eventually I found the Sunstone, evolved my Gloom into a Bellossom. This took longer than actually facing up against the gym leaders in this town. So we're going to face off against the 7 gym leaders in the game, Tate and Liza, which is going to be a double battle fight. It's going to be Lunatone and Solrock against my Pelipper and Gyarados. Now, we're able to surf into my Gyarados and everything else on the field because it's part water type. So it resisted. I'm able to crunch into the Solrock to make sure it gets knocked out anyways. We're able to knock out the Solrock, and then on the following turn, we're able to just beat down the Lunatone. So yeah, in 2 turns, we're able to beat down Tate and Liza. Very simple. I think it took longer to do the puzzle. The gym puzzle, it was longer. So from there, we're able to beat down Tate and Liza, get the 7th gym badge in the game, face off against Maxi in the underground part. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Hariyama. Hariyama is able to one-shot into the Mightyena. His next opponent will be a Weezing, so I'll Weeze the same thing. I go out to my Pelipper, which is able to actually knock out the Weezing in one shot. His next opponent will be a Crobat. And I looked away. I wasn't paying attention for a second. He mean looked me. I'm going down on Poison. He acrobatics me. I live with 25. Surf to knock him out. And Poison just barely not knocked me out with that. So looking up, Pelipper is a monster and knocks out like 2 Pokemon. I could have knocked the camera up as well, but I was playing it safe. I don't want to actually just throw away my Pokemon. So I got out to my Gyarados, and Gyarados unfortunately takes a Rock Slide, which is pretty bad. I still have I have Akuto in my moveset now. I'm able to one-shot the camera up pretty easily. They awaken Primo Groudon, so we had to go face off against him. And I forgot to poison my Pokemon before this fight, but it actually didn't end up mattering at all because I go for an Earthquake with my Gyarados against the Groudon, and it goes to rest. And that is the end of the battle. Congratulations, Groudon, you've done nothing. So we end up beating down the Groudon pretty easily and saved the world because it fell asleep on me. From there, we're going to face off against the 8th and final gym leader in the game. We're going to face off against Wallace. Now, Wallace is going to be the water type gym leader in the game. He's going to start the battle off against us using a Love Disc. Start with my Breloom, hoping to go for some kind of sweep. I end up using my Breloom, and Love This outspeeds me, gets me confused. Now I'm getting Draining Kiss. It gets Effect Spore at least, but I'm able to one-shot him with my Power Up Punch, and I'm like, well, that sucks. And then the Milotic comes out, and I'm like, hopefully I don't hit myself. Seed Bomb will kill it for sure. If I switch around into my Bellossom, it's been a nightmare. It would have Ice Beamed me anyways, and then, you know what, I'm just gonna hope that Seed Bomb works. Love This got me frustrated, which is with the confusion, but unfortunately Breloom hits itself in confusion, and then Milotic will Ice Beam me regardless, and my Breloom goes down because of that. So I'm like, Of course it happened. I go out to my Bellossom, which I'm able to Giga Drain into the Milotic, and I get enough HP in recovery to where I'm able to just knock out the Milotic, eventually just drain him down, and then from there she can switch out into her Celio, which I'm kind of scared of the ice move, which I'm not even sure if it has any. So I switch out into my Hariyama. Hariyama is able to go for a close combat to knock out the Celio, and then from there she can switch out to her Wish Cash, which I have a Bellossom in the back. Giga Drain into the Wish Cash to knock him out, and also Giga Drain into the Seeking to knock him out, and we end up beating down Wallace and get ourselves the 8th gym badge in the game. From there, we have access into Victory Row, where we just can clear through Victory Row pretty easily. We head into the Zelda battle fight right before Wally, and it's just the most annoying, boring fight. It didn't take that long, it was just so boring. It was just so offensively long and boring. But anyways, from there we can face up against Wally. I don't know how Hariyama got out here, but it clutched up at least. We ended up beating down the Gallade and ended up beating down Wally. Now the final portion of the game, we're just gonna get all my Pokemon poisoned up right before the Elite Four and never cure them of the poison, obviously, since we're heading to the Elite Four. Once we get all our Pokemon poisoned, we're gonna head into the Elite Four and face up against the first Elite Four member in the game. We're gonna face up against Sydney. Sydney's gonna be the Dark type Elite Four member. He's gonna start the battle off against us using a Mightyena. I went for my Blaziken, thinking maybe I could just knock him out. I should have gone for my Hariyama, but unfortunately, because of that mistake, I'm unable to knock out the Mightyena. Double kick does not do enough. I also get Swagger, so I gotta switch out, or I risk being a Breloom and knocking myself out. I also replaced Breloom with my Shiftry, since obviously Breloom's dead, so I have another member in the back. Shiftry is able to shift in and face up against the Mightyena. Get Swagger too, so that's kind of unfortunate, but I'm okay with risking down my Shiftry. Lucky enough, Mightyena misses the takedown, or my Shiftry could have gone down. So I go out to my Blaziken next. Blaziken's able to knock out the Mightyena. His next Pokemon will be a Shiftry, which I take a Fake Out to, and I'm like, I can still knock him out. I'm able to go for a double kick and knock out the Shiftry. I take some poison damage. I go down to 13 HP. At this point, I switch out to my Gyarados, and I'm able to get one Dragonette off against him. He also crits me with Night Slash, and now I'm down to low HP as well, and this is the most trouble Sydney's ever caused me. Waterfall would knock out the Absol at least, and then from there, he can switch up to a Sharpedo. I go out to my Bellossom, take an Aqua Jet and also a Crunch. From there, I'm able to Giga Drain and Sharpedo and knock him out. And his final Pokemon will be a Cacturn. So I go out to my Hariyama to do close combat and knock out the Cacturn for us. And we end up beating down Sydney with a bit of trouble. But you know what? We're getting used to it. From there, we're going to face off against Phoebe next. Phoebe's going to be the Ghost type Elite Four member. We're going to start the battle off against Phoebe's Dusclops using my Bellossom. Now, Bellossom's going to go for a Sleep Powder, trying to put down the Dusclops and trying to just suck away at it. Unfortunately, he's going to go for Curse. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. And unfortunately, it misses another Sleep Powder, so I gotta switch out my Bellossom, or I risked losing it. So I go out into my Pelipper. Pelipper is able to just luckily go for Surfs and eventually knock him down. I hit myself in confusion. I get cursed up. Lucky enough, Surf would knock him out, but Future Sight, Curse, Poison, everything started hitting my Pelipper from green HP 107 to all the way to 12 HP in one turn, or after turn. From there, Phoebe's can switch out to her Dusknoir. I go out into my Shiftry, which would take a Hex, but I'm able to go for Leaf Blades, eventually knock him out. I was able to risk. Shiftry's getting no special treatment. It's getting risked twice. Dusknoir couldn't knock me out. From there, she can switch out to her Sableye, which I go out into my Blaziken. Now, unfortunately, Blaziken kind of doesn't do too well against the Sableye, as it actually gets stalled out to 13 HP. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta go out to my Gyarados. I go out to my Gyarados. Lucky enough, Waterfall will actually one-shot the Sableye for us. And then from there, I misclicked Ice Fang onto the Bayonet. And that cost us, as in we cost all our PP on Waterfall. Lucky enough, we still have Crunch in the back, so we're able to Crunch and knock out the Bayonet. And that's the only time I've used Crunch for the Ghost type Elite Four member. I don't know how that's possible. Now from there, we're gonna face off against the next Elite Four member, which is gonna be Glacier. And she's definitely an Elite Four member. We're gonna start the battle off against her using my Blaziken. I go for a Bulk Up and then a Flame Charge. Surprisingly knocks out the Glalie in one shot. From there, you can switch out into a Walrein, which I'm like, well, I'm gonna go out into my Bellossom. Now let's see if Bellossom can take a Blizzard or not. I take a Surf pretty easily and then go for a Giga Drain. It does nice damage, but then for some reason she goes for a Sheer Cold and one shots me. She lands the Sheer Cold. It was just eventually it was gonna happen. She's done it so many times to me in other playthrough where she misses, but this time she, of course, she hits when I kind of don't want her to kill. So unfortunately for that, I'm able to close combat, knock out the Walrein at least, and then from there I learn Heavy Slam, which I'm just gonna put into my Hariyama. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Frostlass, which I go for a Heavy Slam. I take a Confuse Ray pretty easily, knock out the first Frostlass. Her next Pokemon will be another Frostlass, which I go for the same thing, take a Shadow Ball, break out a Confusion, Heavy Slam to knock out the Frostlass, and then her final Pokemon will be a Glalie, which I don't know why. I went out to my Blaziken, and then for some reason, I go for a flame charge. I get protected, I'm getting chipped down, I'm like, oh, this is looking pretty bad. And then I swapped out. I'm like, oh my god. I'm in blaze mode. I'm looking back at this, I'm like, I'm in blaze mode. The first one killed the Glalie. This one should murder it. I go out to my Gyarados, I get destroyed with Freeze Stride. I'm like, oh my god, I'm choking against a Glalie. I go out to my Shift Tree, I'm like, I gotta see the damage on Shift Tree and just sack him. From there, I sack the Shift Tree. Eventually, I sacked him 3 times in a row. Eventually, he's gonna get sacked. Then I go out to my Blaziken, which is able to double kick and knock out the Glalie. And 2 unnecessary deaths. Well, actually, 1 unfortunate death. The other one was unnecessary. So, unfortunately, we have 2 deaths from there. From there, we're going to face off against Drake next. Drake's going to be the 4th Elite Four member in the game. And we're going to start the battle off against him using my Gyarados. Gyarados is able to get a Dragonets off against the Altaria and then go for a few Ice Fangs. If she just didn't go for Con Guard, it would have been fine. But 2 Ice Fangs would knock out the Altaria, but that works for us because it just is enough to knock out his next opponent, which is going to be a Salamence. I'm okay with sacking my Gyarados, surprisingly, but I was pretty sure I could knock out the Salamence with a +1. Well, neutral, and I'm able to knock out the Salamence, which is really nice. From there, he's going to switch out to his Flygon, which I'm like, okay, Ice Fang will, as long as Ice Fang doesn't miss, it should one-shot. It knocks out the first one and the second one without any issues. And then his final opponent will be a Kingdra, which I go out into my Pelipper, which can Hurricane into him. Take another Dragon Pulse, just barely, as I live with 2 HP. From there, I'm just getting back off. I'm going to go out into my Hariyama. Hariyama is able to just survive a Dragon Pulse and a close combat to knock out the Kingdra. That's ready to beat down Drake. And now the Elite Four is done, we have to face off against the champion himself. Now we're going to face off against Steven Stone. Steven Stone is going to start the battle off against us using a Skarmory. I go out to my Pelipper first because Pelipper is the only special attacker left on my team. I go out to Pelipper and I go for a Scald against Skarmory. It works out pretty well for us as we're able to 2-shot into him. From there, his next opponent will be an Aggron, which I'm like, well, this thing might kill me. I gotta go for Scald Burns. It Scald and Burn, and then I survived the Stone Edge from it. That actually works out pretty well for us, as Steven Stone's next opponent will be a Greatly. I was hoping it doesn't go for Giga Drain, but it always goes for Ancient Power, it looks like, because I'm partly Flying type. So I'm able to recover my HP. This is at the point where I didn't realize that the Toxic Orb didn't give me Toxic Poison, because it looks like it gives me the same amount of damage each time. So that's kind of unfortunate, but there's still poison, still part of the title. I get full HP from the Roost against the Cradily, and then from there I can switch out into my Hariyama against the Cradily. I'm able to one-shot it with close combat, and the next Pokemon on his team will be a Claydol. Claydol is partly ground and psychic, so I go out into my Pelipper. I take an extra sensory, not too well. I go down to half HP. I go for a Scald, knock him down to rate HP, and allow me to go for a second Scald and burning him. So you know what, it works out pretty well. He sets up a light screen, so that means I have to roost up and waste some turns in between. Eventually, I get my HP close to full, as I'm able to knock out the Claydol, and his next opponent will be a Model. And I go for a Roost against him, he goes for Crush Claws. It's kind of annoying. I was trying to see the damage and hope for a burn, as I go for a Scald against our Model, but it goes down in one shot. I'm like, oops, that's not good. But hopefully enough, I can outspeed the Metagross, which I end up doing for some reason. I end up outspeeding the Metagross, Skull burning it on accident, and this can knock me out with Giga Impact, allowing me to go out to my Gyarados. Gyarados is able to go for a Crunch and ends up knocking out the Metagross for us, as we're ready to beat down Steven Stone and secure ourselves into the Hall of Fame, as unfortunately Pelipper did so much in the Steven Stone fight that it went down. But you know what? Commemorate it. It did more work than Blaziken at the end. But that would be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name is Ben Alpha, and I hope you guys all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.